Greetings, everyone, and welcome once again to TFT. And this is Oberon's outlook on the emotional exchanges. I'm here to give you your weekly forecast for emotional spectrum of your life with tarot cards. I do this by going through the elemental associations of the Zodiac. So I do the air signs, the fire signs, and so on. This reading is actually good for today, Friday, December 11th, all the way through next Thursday, and that's the 17th. We start off with a word of the week, which I use the Isis Tarot for. And our card is Island. Islands in the stream. Tell Obi not to sing. Number 34. Whoops. Getting used to my new display stand there. So the island. Number 34. You find a way out of a difficult association. A favorable period for the solution of many problems, announcements of journeys. You need a vacation. And who wouldn't want to go to an island, right? So that was our collective thought for the week. And now we're going to start with our air signs. Air signs. And air signs are Gemini, Libra, and Aquarius. We give them a word of the week. Picked randomly. The word of the week for the air signs is patrimony. Patrimony mostly has things to do with parent figures, especially perhaps the dad person, patriarch, that kind of thing. I'm not specifically acquainted with that meaning. I sort of feel like it's a derogatory, like patrimony is maybe overbearingness of a father or a patriarch type. So it's being in charge, it's giving orders, it's expecting people to follow orders, that kind of thing. So that's your word of the week, and I would do you well to think about that and maybe reflect on where you are being patrimonious enough or maybe not enough. Okay, so we're going to go into the reading now. For my air signs, what is going on in your lives this week that affects you emotionally? So our first card, what emotional happiness will you find this week? And I think this week we are happiest when we are in charge, when we are making important decisions, larger than life decisions even, decisions that are about judgments. When we are called to bear witness and to possibly decide outcomes of certain important matters, this is going to make us feel like we are pretty much where we should be. This is our life, you know, emotionally. This week, air signs, you will live for being given that power, that credibility to make these decisions and judgments. Now, what emotional challenges or surprises might you find this week? And over here we have the Chariot. It's upright, just like our first card, the Queen of Swords, was. Now, to me, the Chariot, sometimes it's like a real obvious thing. Like maybe you're going to have a new car show up in your life, or maybe you're going to have new drive, new energy, new motivation, new plans to conquer and take all. So that's what I see, is that maybe a surprising challenge that comes to you sort of suggests that now is the moment for you to kind of win it all, take it all, to just ply your trade and get out there and seize the reins of power. It may surprise you, mostly because maybe you just really weren't expecting to have this amount of energy, let alone discretion, to make a decision. But it kind of goes along with this one too. So I'm wondering if they're connected, that maybe, it's surprising to you, but it's really going to bring you a lot of happiness. But maybe it was coming maybe from almost nowhere in a way. Who knows? So now we're going to have our final card. What will concern our other relationships, the people that we care about, whether they're romantically, platonically, family, friends, co-workers. And in that position, we have the Eight of Wands. And it's upright too. So that Eight of Wands upright, well, what's going to concern these guys? I think things are moving quickly for some of them. I think maybe there's some movement involved here. Maybe there's a lot of energy working on a project. And maybe this will be a surprise, because maybe what it suggests is people are finding themselves employed in some way. I realize that we're hitting real bad pandemic situation again, but there's always something for people to do, even if it's not necessarily work, occupation out there in the world. Maybe more people will find that they will be working from home, and maybe, really having a lot to do, because I'm just sort of feeling like there's a sense of catch-up here. So I think that's what's happening here, is that people are moving quickly. It may be connected to the decisions that you yourself are making, or the drive and motivation that you're hoping to display. People will be finding themselves occupied in various ways. Maybe it's employment, but maybe it's just the doing of things. It is the holiday seasons here in the States, and people tend to go crazy trying to get everything just right. So maybe you need to look at these people and tell them to slow down a little bit, or just to remember there's always something there tomorrow or next week when maybe this situation isn't happening. So that's what I have for the air signs. Fire signs are Aries, Leo, and Sagittarius. I'll just pop that up there. And your word of the week. Your word of the week. The word that gives you some inspiration or gives you a guideline to follow for the week ahead. And your word of the week is not much better than air signs. You have duplicity. Duplicity could be that the situation is you have to pay attention to what's going on around you, that maybe there are people who have hidden motives from you this week, or maybe you need to hide all of your motives and agendas because maybe there's some secrets you need to work on. And in order to really carry them out, you may have to be a little bit less than truthful about certain things. So I don't think you're planning a bank heist or anything like that. I think it's actually more likely that what we're dealing with is maybe the duplicity of others. So I'm thinking fire signs, bring your powers of discernment in for you, because you're probably going to need that with whatever's going on there one way or the other, whether it's you trying to be duplicitous for whatever noble reasons or not, or whether you have to deal with others who are duplicitous around you. So let's get on with that reading now. And our first card. What emotional happiness will the fire signs find this week? We have the Four Wands reversed. And this is still a pretty happy card, even reversed. I think that you fire signs will find that maybe when things are not exactly as planned, but that there's still so much happiness and connection, harmony between people, Maybe you're going to hear about somebody who is still going ahead with some of their plans for marriage or a union celebration of some sort, even though they may find that they have to downscale it or that they might have to do it on Zoom or things like that, because it's still a bit of happiness for them. And I'm thinking that if that's not you yourself doing that, that you're able to share in that happiness, even if it is a little more remote, a little bit more phased differently due to, the current situations. So then what emotional challenges or surprises will you face this week? And this is a heady one. You have the Three of Swords. It's upright. Three of Swords. So I'm thinking that something surprising is maybe a heart-rending situation that's going to come to you. Maybe it affects you directly. Maybe it affects those close to you. It could be as bad as a separation. It could be a broken heart. It could be great sadness. I don't think this is about a person dying. I don't feel the death vibe there. Few cards in the tarot actually are very strongly like that. So I'm just going to say that this does represent a broken heart. This does represent separation. These are things that maybe are surprising and challenging because you probably had no way of knowing it was going to happen. So then finally, what will concern your other relationships this week? The romantic, family, platonic, co-worker, and otherwise. And again, we have our Queen of Swords. And I think that maybe this gives me a little clue that maybe there is somebody within your sphere of emotional relationships that is making that decision. Maybe they are making that decision that they have to break things off with you, that they have a hardship that they have to deal with on their own. I'm sensing that. Maybe it's a hardship and maybe you're not able to really help them with that. They're going to have to find their own strength to do that. You're going to be supportive along the sidelines, but you can't really be there exactly like that. So that's a pretty strong week there with a bit going back and forth, fire signs. Hang in there. And that's what we did have for you, fire signs. So now we're going to move on. Water signs. You are Cancer, Scorpio, and Pisces. Your word of the week. I like that for water signs. Evolution. Evolution. Water signs. Evolve. Water signs. Listen to your heart. Listen to your spirit. Let it flow through you. Let it become a cauldron that raises all the vibration levels up and evolve. No more need be said. So we're going to move on to that reading. And while I'm at it, don't forget to watch Banshee's Material Matters, which is on Sundays at 10 a.m. It's your weekly guide to the tarot keys to success and prosperity, education, finance, and more. So check that out. And soon we will know what's up for water signs this week. What emotional happiness will the water signs face this week? The Ace of Discs is reversed. So we are happy that maybe there's a slowdown in some things, perhaps. The Ace of Discs talks about new challenges that are moving us into the fields of maybe employment or money things. Maybe we're getting a new job. Maybe we're going on a buying spree. Maybe we receive some money, but it's reversed. And so some of that is tempered by delays or inaction or other factors that are irritating there. Now, why would that make us happy? Perhaps the idea behind that sense of whatever that happiness should be is the idea that you realize you really weren't ready for it. And so being able to have a little more time to work on that is going to make you feel better. Maybe it's not the bottomless well of happiness, but knowing that you have a little time to ruminate and to think about how things are going will probably be okay for you. Now, what emotional challenges or surprises might you face this week? And oh, you got a lot going on here with that one. That's the Fool, and the Fool is upright. And I'm thinking that a lot of things are going to be a surprise. The Fool is like venturing off into a new adventure. There may be a slight element of risk here, but mostly it's good because you really have a strong instinct about this, I think. That this is sort of a surprise and a challenge that you've been waiting for a little bit. Not like all your life, but maybe the last few weeks or so, you know, the weird stars, energies, things going on. So you are about to step off into a brand new adventure, and it's a surprise, perhaps, but more likely it's going to challenge you. And I think water signs, and maybe a lot of the other signs, we really need a challenge right now. We need something to kind of give us a boost up, to make us think about things in a different way. The Fool is like that in a way because it's fresh, totally fresh. All right, so then finally, what will concern our romantic relationships, our platonic, co-worker, friends, relatives, the most? And it's justice, justice upright. And so I'm thinking that with justice upright, we have a situation here where maybe somebody in your family or maybe somebody in your emotional life is having a day in court. Or maybe they have a legal matter that is pressing for them and they are hoping for a good outcome. Maybe what this card says is that a good decision will be surprising to them, that maybe somebody is feeling in this, realm of your friends or whatever, that, they're not feeling secure about maybe, the halls of justice or whatever we want to call that. But I'm thinking that if they had been worried really about a particular legal outcome, or if it's not even legal, maybe if it's just a super important decision that somebody is making for them, I think we are going to find that our friends, our relatives, romances, coworkers, etc., will be pleased by the decisions made for them, or pleased by the empowerment they feel towards making their own decisions. So not too bad, water signs. A little mysterious in the beginning there, a little more mysterious in the middle, but not too bad. So that's what we have for you, water signs. And now we are going to finish by going on to our earth signs. And earth signs, you are Taurus, Virgo, and Capricorn. And your word of the week, let's get that for you. Oh, your word of the week is consummation. Consummation. So get it while you can. But seriously speaking, earth signs, it may be that whether we are talking about emotional and or related consummation, whatever that is, this is saying plans really are falling into place, and everything seems to be really well prepared for. Look at her. She's the most well-prepared mummy or whatever Egyptian goddess I've ever seen. She's just like chilling there like, I'm ready for this. So that's what's happening in your word of the week, that you will find things are just about ready to pop. Okay, I said it. So what's going on with the rest of your week? What other things do you need to be aware of, earth signs? What emotional happiness will you find this week? And you have the Princess of Swords reversed. Now the Princess of Swords is like the Page of Swords in most decks as far as the court cards go. So the Page of Swords, and it's reversed, may say that we're kind of a little bit sloppy, lazy. We're not overly concerned if we trip when we're walking down the streets. Maybe there's something happiness in our hearts, and so we're a little bit in our power here. We feel like we can say some things that are risque or tacky, and we can get away with that. Maybe the boss is out. Maybe the boss everywhere is out, and so you just sort of feel more like yourself, which is maybe not necessarily as structured as you feel sometimes you're forced to be. We have a job. We have situations that make us dress up and do certain things, be on time, all of that. Maybe this next week, starting from Friday, the reins are a little bit slippy here, and maybe some of us can just kind of roll with the punches, roll as they may. So then, what emotional challenges or surprises will you face this week? And I have Temperance Reversed. Temperance Reversed. Getting a lot of sunlight up there with that. Maybe I should turn it away a little bit. Does that help? I don't know. Anyways, Temperance Reversed. What is surprising perhaps, and this really kind of goes along pretty well with that first card there, is that maybe we don't mind so much and we find happiness in maybe a little bit of impropriety. Maybe when we have the extra chocolate chip cookie or ice cream, or maybe when we're 10 minutes late to work and we don't bother offering to make up the time, or, things like that. These are things that I think fall into that realm of Temperance Reversed, the idea that we're not going to be so stringent on things. We're going to let some things fly a little bit. Everybody likes moderation. This could be saying that it could be a little bit too immoderate, but I'm thinking when I combine it with the first card, it's just really kind of an easy peasy week for people. So hopefully no other surprises beyond that, that you can kind of, be yourself a little bit this week. And then finally, what will concern your romantic relationships most this week? Your family relationships, your platonics, your other relatives or co-friends. And I have the Seven of Discs. And I'm thinking that what concerns them is that maybe there's a sense of crunch time coming up for some of these guys here. There's a sense that maybe things got complacent a little bit. Maybe they've been off work for various reasons, or maybe they've been in quarantine, or maybe they've just had situations that kind of didn't make them, put their nose to the grinding stone, as they say, and all that. But now you may find that you do need to make some movement. You do need to kind of not just sit there and watch things happening, but actually take a more active role. So that's what I'm seeing here, is that in our relationships, we need to help them, encourage them to take a more active role, that they may find they've been complacent too long and now they need a little bit of a push. You may be that person that's giving them the push. That's what I think. So anyways, that's what we had there for the earth signs. And that pretty much takes care of our reading for the week. Today is the 11th, so in about 10 days, we are moving into Sagittarius, sun sign Sagittarius. So that's the winter solstice too. So what that means, basically, it will be another time for another monthly modality message, which I'm joined by Banshee, and we kind of look at the modality energies for the signs and give them some guidance for that month ahead, starting on December 21st. So join us for that. Don't forget to join Banshee on Sunday. And until next week, everybody, thanks for joining me. Take care.